Hi, my name's Becky Annison and this is episode 1 of Tales from Westwick, which is a sort of vlog that I wanted to start to run alongside the Westwick Dreaming blog, which is where me and my partner talk about what we're making, what we're mending, what we're knitting, what we're growing in our garden, and it's part of our journey towards being more green, living more simply and seeing what we can produce for ourselves. There's a really interesting quote by Shannon in the book The Radical Homemaker where she talks about making the place where you live a place of production as opposed to a place of consumption. And I think that's a really interesting principle that we're just trying to explore at the moment and seeing what we can do. This year we haven't been doing very much actually. We had a new daughter at the end of May this year, so for the first half of the year I was quite heavily pregnant and I was not feeling really able to run around and do huge amounts of work, but she's been with us for a good 3 and a bit months now and we're sort of settled into our new routine with her and with our 3-year-old son, and things are starting to ramp up again, which means I've started to do some knitting again, which is great. So why don't I kick off with what I'm knitting. I've been doing quite a bit of baby knitting at the tail end of last year, and when my son saw me doing that he started asking me to knit things for him. I think he's only 3, I'm pretty sure in a year or two's time he'll stop asking and he'll start saying, "Oh, why do I have to wear hand knitted clothes?" So while he's asking for knitting, I'm going to take advantage of that and do as much as I can. And what he asked for was very specific. He said he wanted a green jumper with a Tyrannosaurus Rex on it, and thanks to Linda of Linda's Knitwear Designs, he has a jumper which is green and which has a Tyrannosaurus Rex on it. You can see that there. I've got to attach an arm still, but apart from that it's done. So the pattern is from Linda's Knitwear Designs. I'll put a link in the show notes, and I used Cascade 220 superwash because it's quite easy to get hold of and there's quite a good range of colours, and that's pretty much it. Cascade 220 is a good workhorse yarn, but it is a yarn which is produced I think in America, and so I'm trying to look for more British alternatives to try to be a bit more sustainable, support local economies a bit more. And on that note, I would like to show you what is currently on my needles. I've only just started this, so there we go. This strange concoction will eventually, when finished, be origami folded into being a baby surprise jacket. It's a pattern by Zimmerman. It is for our daughter Athena, so that she has a green jumper to go with the Dinosaur green jumper. And the yarn is dyed by a company called All Stitched Up. This is their Suffragette colourway, which was an exclusive colourway, so I don't know if they're going to be making it more generally available. And it's a British yarn because All Stitched Up is a company which is trying to source more British yarns and to promote local yarns a bit better. So I'm really pleased to be able to support that at the moment. The baby surprise jacket, let's go back to that. So this is quite a famous pattern by Zimmerman, which I've never knitted before, but which loads of people have. And it's a very, very exciting jacket because until you finally fold it and sew up the edges, it does not look like a jacket at all, I am told. I don't know because I've never knitted one, but it's got a very, very unusual construction and I've wanted to do it for a really long time. And you can buy the pattern from the Schoolhouse Press website as a PDF, which is what I recommend you do, because it seems to me the only other place you can get hold of it is in the book written by Zimmerman called The Opinionated Knitter, which is a book I would love to have. I think Zimmerman is a really essential knitwear theorist, but the book is really hard to get hold of, it's out of print, and so far I've not been able to get my hot little hands on a copy of it, but watch this space, one day I will own it. But you can buy the baby surprise jacket pattern as a standalone from the website. So that's what I recommend you do. So I'm not just knitting at the moment. I do a lot of mending. I always used to do a little bit of mending, but since we've moved up here to Derbyshire, since I had children, and particularly since I had a toddler, I seem to do an awful lot of mending, and I enjoy it. As you know, it's just like another crafty hobby really, so I don't kind of feel like it's much of a chore, but it does cut into your knitting time, so watch out for that. But I will talk about what I'm mending. So the first thing that I have mended, which I will show you, is the monster knee patch for trousers. My 3-year-old runs through the knees on his trousers at an alarming rate. I think that's something all 3-year-olds do. And this particular mend is for when you have a tear which runs from side seam to side seam, so a full horizontal tear in the knee of any pair of trousers. And this is called the monster knee patch. I'm afraid I don't know where it originated from, because there's 101 tutorials and examples of this on the internet, so I'll put a link in the show notes, but it's really easy to Google for this. And it's a really, really simple patch to do. You don't have to have loads of sewing skills to make this work. There you can see. And just to illustrate what I mean about him running through the knees so fast I can barely keep up with it, this has gone back in the mending pile, because you can see there, ooh, got another tear coming in. So that's going to have to be patched as well. My final mend is this baby grow. I just said I got a new daughter, she's called Athena, and I got given this gorgeous new baby grow. Ooh, there we go. For her. That was from her auntie and her grandma. I love the ladybird spots and the red, it's fantastic. But my daughter is a giant. She was 9 pounds when she was born, and she just keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like, I know that babies get bigger and bigger, but she is unusually tall. And this gorgeous new baby grow, first time she wore it, it was pretty clear her toes were just stretching out the ends, and it didn't look very comfortable. So, because this is my last baby, so I'm not going to be using this baby grow on any more children, I'm planning on cutting off the feet and just quickly hemming around the edges so that she can wear them until her bottom gets too big for it, which will probably be in a matter of hours, but never mind. So what else am I doing? A couple of weeks ago, it was my mum's birthday, and I made her a cake, as you do, and I had had an idea for this cake for many, many years. So my mum really loves, there's an old-fashioned English sweet called a violet cream, which is like a kind of a chocolate with a fondant centre, and the fondant is flavoured with violets. Pretty simple. It's my mum's favourite. They're quite hard to get hold of, and when you can get hold of them, they're really expensive. It's the sort of thing you would find in a handmade chocolate shop, basically. And I had this idea that I would make her a birthday cake which sort of mimicked this sweet. And finally I got round to it, and I achieved it, and I'm going to put a whole post up on it on the blog, because I invented this cake, and I'm feeling that I am super clever as a result of doing it. Basically, it was 2 layers of a chocolate fudge cake, a very moist chocolate fudge cake, and then it was sandwiched with cream cheese frosting, because I really hate buttercream. I do like cream cheese frosting. Cream cheese frosting which was purple and flavoured with violets. How clever was that? Very, very clever. And it really tasted like a violet cream with the combination of chocolate and violets, but it was also really moist and really delicious. So as I said, I'm feeling really proud of that. I've put the recipe up on the blog, which I will include a link to in the show notes, and everybody enjoyed it so much I think it's going to become a bit of a family favourite, and we're going to keep making it for birthdays for some time to come. Other news in the homestead, or the small holding. it is a bit ridiculous to call this place a small holding. We have half an acre of land, which is pretty good for being in a town, but it's, it's not 25 acres of farm or anything. So I usually call us a tiny holding as opposed to a small holding, because we really don't even have an acre. We didn't have a big vegetable garden this year because in the main digging and growing season I was really heavily pregnant. I had a lot of hip pain and it just wasn't happening. But we did, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we did get chickens. We'd had the house set up for a long time, and at some point I'll do a post dedicated to just how we set the chickens up. But this is a post about saying we've got chickens. We've got 4 chickens. It's very exciting. We have, we've all got a chicken each because there's 4 of us and we've got 4 chickens. So my chicken is called Thunder because they're this gorgeous smoky grey blue colour, which made me think of kind of the clouds that you get in a thunderstorm. Very poetic. Josh's chicken, that's my partner, it's called Colonel Sanders, I think for obvious reasons. Raffy, my 3-year-old, was allowed to name his own chicken, and that chicken is called Flappy. I bet you can't even imagine why it's called Flappy. And he also named Athena's chicken. Athena is our newborn, and she wasn't really at a stage where she could name her own chicken, so Raffy named her chicken for her, and he named that chicken Bocky. And I think it's because chickens make that sort of noise. I think that's where that came from. So far, Flappy has been our best egg layer, and started laying almost immediately and is reliably giving us 1 egg a day. About 4 or 5 days ago now, one of the others started laying, but we don't know who it is yet. We think it's Bocky, but we're not sure. We haven't caught them in the act. And so at the moment we're averaging 2 eggs a day, pretty reliably, which is completely manageable. 4 eggs a day will be the point at which we start doing a lot more egg-heavy recipes, but to be honest, 2 eggs a day is easily absorbed into our normal family cooking. In fact, we are deliberately not buying eggs, and we're having to make sure we don't buy eggs because we eat a lot of eggs in this family, so 4 chickens is going to be a good amount of eggs for us. And I'm just really, really enjoying having chickens. It gets me going out 2 or 3 times a day down the bottom of the garden, so I'm getting out and I'm looking at the land, not once a day, not twice a day, maybe 3 or 4 times a day, which is a really nice feeling. They are delightful creatures. Watching their behaviour and seeing them just interacting with their environment and really enjoying being in the space that they're in. We've got a lot of plans to build chicken tractors and get them on the vegetable patch and things like that in good time, but at the moment they're just settling in and they're doing really well. And I've been doing a lot of reading about chickens, a lot of research, a lot of reading, and I found this fantastic website called Fresh Eggs Daily, which has been a real source of ideas and inspiration. And I just wanted to talk about the ideas that website gave me, and I'll put a link in the show notes again, about how you can use herbs to supplement your chicken's diet. Now this is really, really good for us because pretty much the first thing we did when we moved into this house was we set up a huge herb garden, and although we eat a lot of the herbs that we produce, we are producing far more than we can get through. And so having a website which talks about different herbs that you can feed chickens to stimulate laying, to reduce stress, because obviously they've just moved here from somewhere else and living with a 3-year-old can be pretty stressful. And so having another way that we can use the sort of abundance of herbs that we're getting has been really exciting. So that's it, that's me, I'm Becky Annison. This was episode 1 of Tales from Westwick, what we're knitting, what we're making, what we're mending, and what we're doing to try and live a more green and sustainable life. And hopefully I'll make an episode 2, and you can watch that as well. Goodbye.